الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله ذي الملك والملكوت ذي العزة والجبروت. الحمد لله حي قيوم لا ينام، عزيز لا يضام، قهار لا يرام. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما. يقول الباري سبحانه وتعالى بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. You believe, fear Allah as He should be feared, and do not accept on the state of Islam. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestow upon us the gift to be firm on the state of Islam and to die on the state of Islam. Allahumma ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Amma ba'd, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in many ayat in the Quran, particularly in this ayah from Surah Ibrahim, Alam tara, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this ayah, إلا الذين بدلوا نعمة الله كفرا وأحلوا قومهم دار البوار. ألم تر إلى الذين بدلوا نعمة الله كفرا وأحلوا قومهم دار البوار. Have you not seen those who exchanged the blessing, the favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the ingratitude, and had the cause on their people to cause them ruin or to bring ruin to their people? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this ayah is also actually addressing to the disbeliever. أَلَمْ تَرَ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ بَدَّلُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ كُفْرًا وَأَحَلُّوا قَوْمَهُمْ دَارَ الْبَوَارِ. So here when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, have you not seen those who have changed the blessing of Allah, the favor of Allah with ingratitude, and they have cause for their people, to have the, as we have said in the ayah, dar al-bawar, which is the ruin, and it is the doom for their people. Now the ayah is very clear, is about the disbelievers. However, truly the believer is also have things to do, because the question, when you look at the gift of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon us, it is about the way how to manage the gift, how this managing the gift to make yourself grateful to this gift, or disbeliever, or ingratitude, or have ungratefulness toward this gift. Therefore, the believer, when you think about this ayah, is not about because of a disbeliever that he made themselves to fall into the doom or to get to themselves the ruin, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said for the disbeliever. No, in the reality, the bad management of the favors leads to the doom, leads to the ruin, leads to ingratitude. As a matter of fact, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about the nature of the human being, قَالَ وَآتَاكُم مِّن كُلِّ مَا سَأَلْتُمُوهُ, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provide you from everything you have asked for. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala قَالَ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَظَلُومٌ كَفَّارٌ. But the reality of the human being is a transgressor, is a person who is ungrateful. He's a person who is ungrateful. Now, thinking about such, important element in our life, that in our life we became people who are very materialistic, and this is a fact, this is a reality. This is not to say like, no, this is haram, you are bad. No, this is a reality, because there's two paths that every one of us is adhering to. The first path is the path that we have been nurtured into our life, and the second path that we wish to be on and help us, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to be on, which is the path of the guidance. The path that we have been nurtured is the path of this lifestyle that we all live. Therefore, we became kind of enforced on our perception that the money or the materialistic ways are the ways for us to find success, and it is a reality. So someone cannot deny, for example, oh, I'm seeking money for nothing, just I'm seeking money for the sake. Why are you seeking to gain money? Because we think of money as a key or a way or a means for success. We are thinking about the means that we are getting, like diplomas, that, many of the aspects that everyone is trying to get, and we have many dreams among us people. But subhanAllah, all of these are the reality, so we cannot deny it. We cannot deny a person who's saying you are looking to make money, so this is haram. No, it's not haram. And that's subhanallah, the aspect is how to manage this gift for you to be closer to Allah, for you to increase the blessing in these gifts. As a matter of fact, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called the money mercy. He called mercy the money. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the example in Surah Al-Isra, قال وإما تعرضن عنهم ابتغاء Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rahmatan tarjuha. You seeking a mercy from your Lord. What is this mercy? The mercy is money. The nature of the human being is to love money. قال وإنه لحب الخير لشديد. However, in this ayah, he called money with the term that is good. And he is very close to the love. He is dearly loved the good. What is the good in this ayah is the money. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about Qarun that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provided him all this favor. The favor, it was wealth. And then the gift of authority, the gift of kingdom that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to An-Namrud, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to Talut. So those are gifts from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, it's our view to this gift who make us to be grateful to Allah or to be disbeliever in Allah or ungrateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when we are thinking about these gifts of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the money, the wealth, the health and everything, we think of them as a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when we think about as a gift of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how can you pay the rights of these gifts? How can you pay the rights of this gift, or how can you provide or observe the right of this gift? Now, all what I'm talking about to come to a very important point. What is this very important point? The important point that we have this materialistic world that influenced our lifestyle. And we became seeing success into the materialistic means. This is a fact, and this is also reality. We cannot deny that if you do not get good diplomas and you don't do your study, you will not be able to get a good job. And you cannot get good job, you will not be able to get a good salary. This is a fact, this is a reality. We cannot deny that. We're not going to tell you, oh, you are immersed into the lovely, in the love of the dunya. No. However, it's not about the gift that we are getting from Allah, because money is a gift from Allah. Health is a gift from Allah. Beauty is a gift from Allah. Look the case of Yusuf alayhi salam. But the way, it's not about the gift themselves, but the way how you deal with the gift. Now, these materialistic means or these gifts who are, apparent gifts, they are indeed the way how people, they look at you. So these are the things that they are the source of envy. People, they become envy toward you because of these things. Of the money you have, of the job you have, of the health you have, of the beauty you have, of the good looking you have. Therefore, a person, if he will rely on these gifts as ways of success, as ways of gaining that satisfaction, that's when the problem becomes. Then when the problem begins. Because the person at this way, he's going to be leading himself or herself to worship Allah on edge. Why? Because they are relying on these gifts. Relying on money. Relying on their businesses. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called, and among people who worship Allah on edge. Why? Because their satisfaction is going to be function of these gifts. If there's these gifts providing something good, they are happy. If it providing, something bad, they will be sad. If the money or the health or the beauty or the authority or the power that they have or the business is providing them what they want, so they are happy. If not, they are sad. So their satisfaction becomes, goes and, subhanAllah, goes up and down based on these things. And this is the person, he is awwala alayhim, he's trusting and relying on these things. And this, dear brothers, is a form of ingratitude. This is how someone is going to be causing to himself and to herself to bring ruin on themselves, on their families, and their surrounding. This is what Allah said. أَلَمْ تَرَ إِلَى الَّذِينَ بَدَّلُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ كُفْرًا وَأَحَلُّوا قَوْمَهُمْ دَارَ الْبَوَارِ. Have you not seen those who exchange the blessing of Allah with ingratitude? So the way to manage this gift, the way to look at this gift, the way to apprehend them, the way to, subhanAllah, to deal with them, this is what make you to be either grateful to Allah and grateful or an ungrateful. And gratefulness will bring you the barakah, and ungratefulness will bring you the bawar that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned. Therefore, the believer, we are very concerned with this ayah. This is not only for the disbeliever, it is also mainly for us because of the nature of the life that we live and the way how we have been nurtured, that the keys of success became truly materialistic. Now, how can we liberate ourselves from such a thing? How can we make these gifts that we have, that we are working day and night for many people, to really to accumulate, to have, you find, subhanAllah, people studying for years and years to get the good diploma in medical school or in law school or in IT, and all of that, subhanAllah, they feel it like part of their life. You cannot come say, oh, you are immersed into the love, in the worldly life. No, this is part of your worship if you know how to deal with it, if you know how to put it into the right perspective. So how can we put it in the right perspective? The first element, dear brother, respected sister, is how can we liberate ourselves from the prison of these favors? The prison of this favor, when we believe that these favors are the key to our success. They are not the key to your success. Money is not the key to your success. Your career in job is not the key to your success. In whatever your business, whatever your project is not the key to your success. That's the first thing. Therefore, we have to change our view to these things. How should we view these favors? These favors are from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first. Do not be like Qarun, who said, these things I have made them, I have gained them with my own skills, with my own knowledge. That the person who truly ungrateful and far from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now our view how to change it is to look at this favor as a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But a gift from Allah, seeking a comfortable life. That's something good. What it means, comfortable life? Comfortable life, seeking what the Prophet ﷺ called al-afiyah, wellness, well-being. That's what we want. Therefore, the gift that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you, money, health, good looking, beauty, business, diplomas, a good job, all of it, you look at it as a favor from Allah, as a rahmah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to help you gain the afiyah, a comfortable life. So the comfortable life, not for the sake of the comfortable life is going to provide for you tranquility. It's going to provide peace of mind, which is going to help you to perfect every action you do, and mainly the action that help you to gain the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-Abbas, the uncle of the Prophet ﷺ, came to him and he asked him, Ya Rasulullah, teach me something I will be able to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for it. Something that this is the only thing I should ask. Qala, ask him al-afiyah. Al-afiyah, the well-being. Al-afiyah is the wellness in all the perspective. And he came to him after a few days and he said, he gave him the same question. So he said, Ya Abbas, Ya Ammi Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, al-afiyatu fi dunya wal akhirah. Ask Allah the wellness, ask Allah the well-being in this life and the hereafter. Therefore, our perspective to look that everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you from materialistic blessing and gifts, put it within the objective of the afiyah. You're not getting money to be extravagant, or you are accumulating money to secure your future, because your future in the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, when you are targeting the afiyah, this is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless all what you have, and you become grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For this reason, the Prophet ﷺ قال من أصبح آمنا في سربه معافا في جسده له قوت يومه فكأنما حاز الدنيا بحذافيرها. Whoever who starts his day, safe and feeling secure within his family and healthy, and he has the food of his day, the food of his day, the qut of his day. He's like he owned the whole world. This is the afiyah. This is the afiyah. Therefore, whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you from the materialistic gift, do not rely on them as being the means to your success, but use them as a way to get a comfortable life. And this is the afiyah. The second aspect who help us really to liberate our hearts and our soul from being relying and holding fast to such a thing. Why? Because when we hold ourselves attached to these things, we became very vulnerable to the shaitan. The shaitan, the devil, what is his objective? To sadden you, to cause you sadness, to have you to be always worrying, and to, subhanAllah, to discourage you. So this is the way of the shaitan. Now, if a person says like, I'm better than you, I'm stronger than you, I have money more than you, I look better than you, and so on. Here, subhanAllah, the shaitan put you into tanafus, competition of low way of life. And the believer, you are far and highly elevated from such a thing. Why? Because if you look at your money as something that you gain with your own effort, and not look at it in the perspective of the afiyah, as we have mentioned, as a favor from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you want to compete in having more money. You're going to compete in having more power. You're going to compete in having better position in work. And that's how the shaitan pull you down to be in the lowest level of the way of life. That's in the worldly life you become like kneeling to this dunya and kneeling to the shaitan. So as a believer, the second aspect, after changing the perception toward this favor, this materialistic favor, and to not fall into the trap of the shaitan, that to sad you, to cause you sadness, to cause you worry, to cause you all this anxiety out of this perspective of this tied to the worldly life, or this, competition and things tied to the worldly life. The believer has to develop and foster within themselves a power, a strength, a force called the force of detachment or not caring. When a person said, this person is better than you, said, I don't care. If he's better than me, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be better than me in things of the deen. He's stronger than you, said, good. That's why provoking, when the Prophet ﷺ, the disbeliever want to provoke him ﷺ, and to exile him from the land of Mecca, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructed him what to do. Because this fostering this character, this force of detachment, of non-caring when it comes to the matter of the dunya, of course. When someone is saying, oh, this person, he's always better than you. And subhanAllah, the shaitan is saying, he said, better than you, then you're going to react. And the reaction said, no, he's not better. What does he have better than me? And that's when we fall into the trap of the shaitan. And that, subhanAllah, the believer, he elevates and she elevates herself by saying, you run back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because you don't want that futile thing to really cause you anxiety and cause you depression into your heart. You don't want such a thing. Therefore, fostering in ourselves that force of non-caring, of detachment, This comes with what we call the character of the i'rad. Al-i'rad is to turn away, because this something, it's vain. You should not even think about. You should not even talk about, because you have something important to really care about. That's why the Prophet ﷺ قال فَأَعْرِضْ عَنْهُمْ. They are plotting against you. Turn away from them and rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, this is art of non-caring to the matter of the dunya by fostering within ourselves the force of the i'rad, or the character of the i'rad, is going to help you to gain that dignity and help you to gain the focus and help you to manage well the favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He has bestowed upon you. Why? Because when someone get like the example of the Prophet ﷺ, when they provoke him and you want to cause them and to exile him from the land of Mecca, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He didn't say provoke them. He didn't say subhanahu wa ta'ala face them. He said turn away from them. What to do? Run to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you run to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, قال أقم الصلاة لدلوك الشمس إلى غسق الليل. Establish prayer at the decline of the sun and in the darkness of the night. وَقُرْآنَ الْفَجْرِ. What comes to the Qur'an al-Fajr, it was, Qur'an al-Fajr is witness. So therefore you develop your strength and you foster your character of dignity and power and force in your heart by the salah, but not by going and subhanallah, going on social media and you're gonna show off that you are better than the other person, stronger than the other person, more able than the other person, that when we fall in the trap of the shaitan and cause ourselves to be ungrateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and become ظالما كافرا, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, قال إن الإنسان كان ظلوما كفورا. For this aspect, dear brother, respected sister, in how to manage the favor and the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and here we're talking about the materialistic favors, when it comes like the tangible favors, the favors that people, they envy you. Because if you don't do this way, you become very vulnerable to the envy. You're going to be, subhanallah, invaded by the attack of the eyes, of the ill eyes. Why? Because you're holding fast to these gifts. When you detach yourself and you become independent, this is how you're going to foster this strength. Now, two aspects before we finish this first part that are important for us to know, so we can develop and foster this force of detachment, of non-caring. Truly non-caring. When someone tell you this person is better than you, or he said something, it's really not going to cause anything in your heart, because you have such a dignity and pride within yourself and connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Such thing will not shake your soul. It will not crush your self-esteem, because you are bigger and greater than that. Why? Because you are close to Allah. The first thing is how to deal with the gift of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Try every gift that Allah gave you from the dunya. You have, good money, good saving, mashallah, good business. You have a new nice car. You have all these things, or gift from Allah, materialistic gift. Use them to please Allah. قال وابتغي فيما آتاك الله الدار الآخرة, and seek in whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided you the hereafter. Money, use whatever you want from the money. Just 2.5% as zakat. That's how you put. You be grateful to Allah, but just paying 2.5% of all the money you have saving. But then when you want to give more, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you more, as you know that your money will not decrease from any sadaqah that you do. So you see, this is the management. The second point is to make a higher share of the gift. What is the highest level or the highest gift into our life from the materialistic point of view? Because it's known the highest gift are the iman of Allah, the belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Two things that the Prophet ﷺ told us about is time and health. قال نعمتان مغبون فيهم وابن آدم. Two type of gifts that the child of Adam, he's not taking advantage. He's making himself misfortune toward these gifts. time. Time is your life and health. Therefore, if you use time wisely and your health, your ability to use every gift that you have, then you're going to purify them. You're going to increase them. Why? Because you're taking the advantage of the time to gain the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which brings us to the next point, which is the most important point, which is the more you know Allah, the more you're going to be grateful to the gift of Allah. The better and the more wise you're going to be into managing the gift of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, look, you gain dignity by running back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You gain tranquility by holding fast to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You gain independence and freedom by surrendering fully to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You safeguard yourself from going astray by fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, holding fast to Allah, fleeing to Allah, surrendering to Allah, fearing Allah, it is the way how to be grateful to Allah and give you the ability, the force of non-caring, the detachment and the power of being grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For this reason, in the beginning of the life of the Prophet ﷺ, he said, do not even pay attention to them and make sujood and come close, Ya Muhammad. قَالَ كَلَّا لَا تُطِعْهُ وَاسْجُدْ وَاقْتَرِبْ. Don't let anything divert you. Don't let anything from this dunya to have you, subhanAllah, imprison you, diverting you, taking you away from the path of Allah, and keep yourself in drawing yourself close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the path of the grateful, and that the grateful people, and that is the path how you protect the gift. Money, Allah will protect it for you. Health, Allah will protect it for you. Children, Allah will protect them for you. Business, Allah will protect it for you. Why? Because you put yourself in that right perspective of being grateful, and you avoid it for that al-bawar to befall you. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه الغفور الرحيم. بسم الله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على النبي المصطفى أما بعد. Managing the favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the world that we live today, it is a fact, it is a reality, is undeniable for us to say that the materialistic means are keys to our success. It's a reality. It's a reality. When you're talking about the dunya, you're not going to be in the whole day in the masjid and you're going to be able to make 6-figure salary. That's not going to be possible. Therefore, you have to work. And you know, everyone from our youth, they dream to do such a thing. We say, oh, this is a dream of people who love the dunya. No, it's a dream of a believer too. But how you dream, how you put this perspective of this dream, how you view this dream, when you view it through the afiyah, and you view it through managing your time and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you as ability to gain His pleasure, that's when you're going to be a pure, grateful servant that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless you now and forever and for eternity. And subhanallah, one of the scholars mentioned a beautiful story. And a beautiful story, I say, latifatun, which help us to reflect, with which we conclude. Imagine the two most important, the wisest two people on this planet Earth, if they will meet today, what they're going to be talking about. Two people, they are skilled in everything you think about. Wisdom, politics, economy, sociology, in all these matters. What they're going to talk about. What the topic they're going to be talking about. The two most wise people in the world today, if they're going to meet, what they're going to talk about. One of you might be saying about the economic problem, about the wars, how to bring peace, how to make equality, how. But subhanallah, the two greatest people, the two greatest personages in the history of humankind, they've been talking about something very important. And of course it is important, but should it need to be important for us when I'm going to tell you the hadith? Who are these two great people? The first one is Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The second one is Ibrahim. When they met, did they talk about economy? Did they talk about the finance? What the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said? قال لقيت إبراهيم عليه السلام ليلة أسري بي. I met Ibrahim عليه السلام in my night of ascension. And he told me, قال أقرأ أمتك السلام. Convey to your ummah salam. Ibrahim عليه السلام sending you his salam. And tell them to you, tell them, إن الجنة, that's the Jannah. The Jannah, which is your reward or your destination. قال طيبة التربة عذبة الماء. Pure soul and sweet water. وأرضها قيعان. And its land is a plain. It's like plain valley. Plain. وأن غراسها, what is its plantation? This is the best gift ever. This is the favor that you want to, all the favors that Allah gave you, to invest them into these favors. قال وأن غراسها, is plantation. Subhanallah, walhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar. The two greatest men ever lived. This is what they were talking about. Subhanallah is the way how to exalt Allah by your action and your saying, from not doing things that will cause the wrath of Allah. Alhamdulillah is the way how you purify those favors that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you. Those materialistic favors, you purify them and you increase them, and you increase them in the blessing by being grateful to Allah. La ilaha illallah is the way how you be firm on the path of Allah. Stand for the truth, live for the truth, die for the sake of the truth. Wallahu Akbar. It is that element who give you independence, that element who give you freedom, that element who give you dignity, because you only kneel and prostrate to Allah. And this is what brings you to the meaning, فَاسْجُدْ وَاقْتَرِبْ كَلَّا لَا تُطِعْهُ. Do not obey anybody. Do not care about anybody. Do not fear anybody, but make prostrate and come close to Allah. قُلْ أَذَلِكَ خَيْرٌ أَمْ جَنَّةُ الْخُلْدِ. If this, all what you see in this life, can be equal to the garden of eternity that Allah promised to the pious, and it is for them a reward and a destination, they will have everything they want. And indeed, it is from Allah. قَالَ كَانَ وَعْدًا. It is a promise that Allah will allow you to ask Him for it. He said, Ya Allah, where's the Jannah that you have promised me? But for you to come to ask Allah this question, you need to change the perspective on how to view this gift, by viewing them in the perspective of the afiyah, and by fleeing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be true grateful to Allah, and to have all your life to be clothed with the blessing. فنسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يبارك لنا في حياتنا وأن يثبتنا على الصراط المستقيم. اللهم نسألك العافية في الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم نسألك الثبات يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم مغفرتك يا كريم يا رحمن يا رحيم. تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم. اللهم أبدل خوف إخواننا في غزة وفلسطين أمنا. اللهم مكنهم في الأرض يا رب العالمين. اللهم ومكن لهم دينهم الذي ارتضيت لهم، وحرر المسجد الأقصى يا حكيم يا قدير يا قوي يا عزيز. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأقيموا الصلاة يرحمكم الله.